There are 49 countries in the world which are landlocked, meaning they have no open sea touching their borders. Although the number is different on a bunch of places because sometimes they include partially recognized states, but let's just go with the 49. They represent 11.4% of our world's territory and 7% of the human population. I live in a country that has a lot of sea, so this has always caused me some confusion. How do people deal with it? How can you escape if a giant monster who's only afraid of water attacks? So in this video, I thought we'd take a look at some of these landlocked countries throughout the world, because a few of them have some interesting facts. First, let's understand the definition of a landlocked state. It's a sovereign state entirely enclosed by land or whose only coastlines lie on closed seas. Being landlocked has some advantages. They avoid bad weather effects caused by oceans like tsunamis and hurricanes. Plus, they have the possibility to monitor all goods and people coming into or leaving the country through the land borders. They're also safe from invasions from sea. But then we have the downsides. It's a big economic disadvantage by not having direct access to the high seas and their better trade routes. They have more transport costs and custom duties, which become expensive. To access the coastline, landlocked countries are forced to maintain friendly relations with neighbors that have coastlines, even when they don't agree. Most countries that are landlocked are listed as landlocked developing countries and struggle with economic difficulties. But there are a few exceptions, like the first country on our list, Switzerland, with just over 41,000 square kilometers and just over 8.5 million people. A rich country which represents the exception to the rule, living a wealthy lifestyle while landlocked inside of Europe. A funny thing about Switzerland is, despite landlocked, they have a navy. The Swiss Armed Forces operate patrol boats on Lake Geneva and a few other lakes and rivers in the region. And Switzerland isn't the only landlocked country to have a navy. In fact, most of them do, because most of these tend to be merchant navies, or in military cases, just safety patrols, apart from a few exceptions. The majority operates them on lakes, inside or around the country's borders, like Burundi or Malawi. Others use them on rivers, like Serbia, Uzbekistan, or Laos. And then we have examples like the Mongolian Navy, which consists of a single boat with only 7 men, and apparently only one of them knows how to swim, but who knows if that's true. Paraguay used a river through Argentina to reach the ocean. Azerbaijan uses its navy on the Caspian Sea, which is pretty big but just not open to the ocean, and others maintain a real navy, like Bolivia, which lost access to the coast in a war in the 19th century, but they kept their naval force, with a strength of close to 5,000 men, as a sign that they do not relinquish their claim to access the ocean. Ethiopia, for instance, had a navy because previous to Eritrea's independence, they had access to the coast. When they lost it, their ships kept operating at open sea through foreign ports. But these days, their ships only operate on a lake. Ethiopia is also the world's most populated landlocked country, at over 100 million people. Uganda is next with 40 million, and Afghanistan ranks third with 33 million. Speaking of population, I was totally shocked when I found out that Nepal, also a landlocked country, has 29 million people. I thought it was way smaller. This list, ordered by population, mirrors the reality of the list of all countries, which show a population increase in African and Asian countries, with the first European country ranking at 16 in terms of population, Czechia, with just over 10 million. The Czech Republic is surrounded by 4 countries, but their neighbor, Austria, ranks number 1 in this aspect, being surrounded by 8 different neighbors, tied with Serbia and Zambia, which also have 8 neighbors. But there are countries which are only landlocked by 1 neighbor, meaning they exist within the borders of another sovereign state, and there are only 3 of these inland islands in the world. Lesotho inside South Africa, San Marino inside Italy, and the Vatican City also inside Italy. The Vatican is the world's smallest country, and being landlocked, it is therefore the world's smallest landlocked country, at just 0.44 square kilometers and close to 900 people. The biggest landlocked country is Kazakhstan, with over 2.7 million square kilometers and 16 million people. Mongolia and Chad fill the other spots in the top 3. Some countries are double landlocked, which means that they're landlocked by also landlocked countries, and therefore have to cross 2 foreign borders in order to reach the sea. There's only 2 of these. Liechtenstein in Europe, surrounded by Switzerland and Austria, and Uzbekistan in Central Asia, surrounded by 5 countries: Afghanistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Turkmenistan. To make up for the geographical inconvenience, which isn't their fault, landlocked countries have some rights assured to them, like the right to a maritime flag, meaning they can register ships and sail them on open sea under their own flag, regardless of having open seaports or not. Something necessary because, like we saw, a lot of them have navies, especially merchant ships. There's also the Convention on Transit Trade of Landlocked Countries, a multilateral treaty that addresses international rules allowing for landlocked countries to transport goods to and from seaports. The convention imposes obligations on both landlocked states and the coastal states that ratify the treaty, taking away the obligation for these countries to submit to their neighbors who could withhold their access to the coast, as long as both have signed the treaty and do not revoke it. But countries aren't the only ones which can be landlocked. There's also landlocked seas, which we saw some of the previously mentioned countries border. These are the Aral Sea in Central Asia, bordering Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, the Caspian Sea, the largest lake on Earth, reaching 5 different countries, the Dead Sea, the Sea of Galilee, which is technically a freshwater lake and is really small, I don't know why they call it a sea, and the Salton Sea in California. I guess kind of just a lake too. So that was a quick overview at a few of the world's landlocked countries. Thank you so much for watching. This video was kind of shorter because, let's be honest, there isn't much to this topic, but since there were a few interesting facts about it, I wanted to make a video to point them out. If you liked it, remember to subscribe to catch future videos, and I will see you next time.